Welcome again to our Fall Executive Board meeting. Twice a year, we have the opportunity to bring together the leaders of our union to chart our path forward and determine how to build on the resources we offer our members. Thank you all for being here. As I begin, I want to acknowledge that this is a moment of uncertainty for our industry and some of our members. Today, we enter the fourth week of a U.S. federal government shutdown. This is particularly trying time for our partners at unions like NATCA, PASS, AFGE, and all federal government workers who are working without paychecks and with fewer resources. I've been in close contact with Nick Daniels, the president of NATCA, and the leaders from other unions to make clear that we stand in solidarity with them and to discuss how ALPA can lend our support to these critical partners in aviation. Behind the scenes, we've been working with our allies on Capitol Hill to make sure aviation safety and security are prioritized as discussions about the shutdown continue, and supporting our union brothers and sisters, including bringing meals to the controllers working without pay across our country. Thank you for those of you in this room who have stepped up to lend your support. Our members at Spirit also face uncertainty as their company continues to face significant financial challenges. Speaking from experience, I know that pain, and we all understand there is a human cost when companies struggle. To Ryan, Sean, Andy, and every other Spirit pilot here today, we have your back, and we will continue to help you and your colleagues over the next months and years. That is the strength of ALPA. When one pilot group struggles, they aren't alone. They have 42 other pilot groups ready to support them. This is just as true for Air Wisconsin and Raven, Alaska, and all other ALPA pilots facing uncertainty. Last week, we held our all-hands-on-deck, all-staff meeting, as we do every 2 years. This is a rare moment for our team as we bring together not just the hundreds of people based here in Vallow, but all staff from our offices in both the U.S. and Canada here in this one room. I want to thank you all for giving the staff you work with the opportunity to be present for this important training and team building. Supporting our pilots will always be our top priority, but I know they appreciated being able to be present with their fellow colleagues. When I first took office, I was overwhelmed by the depth of resources ALPA has to offer. I volunteered in various roles for decades and thought that I had a good understanding of ALPA's resources. But walking around this building and getting to know all the work our team does on behalf of our members drove home that there is so much more to this union than most of us realize. We all know the headlines. We read the magazine and the fast read, get messages from our MECs and LECs, hear speeches and see social media posts. ALPA keeps our members informed of the most public-facing work of our union. But as I learned when I became president and was reminded of when our staff gathered last week or 2 weeks ago, there is always a lot going on at ALPA. The critical work of our union goes much deeper than the headlines. It's about all the ways, big and small, loud and quiet, that we support our members and you as leaders. In my past reports to this board, I've only given you or have given you primarily the headlines. It's easy to fill the report with updates on major work from our union, so we can unintentionally gloss over the many other ways our union fights for our members. From passing a pro-pilot, pro-safety FAA reauthorization bill to stopping an effort to fast-track single-pilot operations in Europe, to negotiating new or extended contracts at 14 carriers and merging with the largest independent union in Canada, we have had a lot of success to talk about at these meetings. Through all of that, the work of our union continued, and our resources grew. In fact, our success story is all about growth. Quantified in several ways, I'll start with members. We have over 10,000 additional members from more hiring at our carriers and adding 6 new Canadian pilot groups, including the historic merger with the Air Canada Pilots Association. That growth is poised to increase as we continue negotiations with the Allied Pilots Association. We are approaching these negotiations with a focus on improving our ability to strengthen and defend our representation of our existing members and being a more forceful voice for pilots and safety with regulators and decision makers. We won't just grow for the sake of growing. We will do our diligence to make sure that you and our members are better off because of a potential merger. As I have said, we will continue to prioritize our existing members and make sure that we take care of their needs while this process plays out. To support our new members and add new capabilities for our existing members, we have hired over 130 staff, including 19 positions that were part of the merger with ALPA. This has created an impressive 22% growth in our staff since we took office. This growth allows several advantages: better support for our existing programs and priorities while simultaneously expanding our capabilities to support the new pilots we're bringing into the ALPA family. We all know that ALPA has long been a place where people build careers. Fortunately, we are not adding staff at the expense of institutional knowledge, and we have the benefit of new perspectives to complement those who have gotten us through dark times like COVID and the years following 9/11. With this growth, we have an eye to the future for our headquarters and our other offices. We have entered into an agreement to purchase a new headquarters building near our current offices here at Vallow Park, which we will develop during the 5 years remaining in this lease here. We have also entered into agreement to sell our old headquarters in Herndon. That sale is contingent on the approval of the purchaser's development plans, which is now working its way through the town of Herndon's processes. I know words can't always quantify the immense amount of work that gets done at this organization, but the numbers help paint a powerful picture of the past 34 months. To start, we negotiated $20 billion in contractual improvements at 14 pilot groups. We have raised the bar for our profession substantially in both the United States and Canada. We obviously can't spike the football here because we must remain focused on pilot groups like FedEx, ATI, Frontier, JetBlue, and Western Global, who have been in negotiations for far too long, and groups that are in end-stage negotiations like Air Transat. We are continuing to dedicate significant staff and pilot resources to support all of our groups in negotiations in the US and in Canada, as well as the lessons learned in the successful negotiations that landed those $20 billion in additional value. Those new contracts are the headline, and winning a strong contract is just only step one. We've seen time and time again that we must update and amend these agreements and enforce the contracts. Operations change, our members' needs change, and new issues pop up, so it is critical our multi-year contracts reflect the current needs and demands of our members. And while we've been negotiating contracts, we've been at the table negotiating 140 letters of agreements and contesting countless grievances. We've seen the power of enforcing our contracts with major grievance wins in the past few weeks. The Delta pilots are getting $500,000 in damages to be paid to eligible pilots over the company's violation of scope agreements. And FedEx will end its use of minimum flying hours starting in November, meaning its pilots will receive the work and compensation they deserve. We stood up the President's Grievance Committee to coordinate our grievance processes and best practices across all ALPA carriers. And last week, they hosted their second virtual training seminar focused on arbitration and other uses of alternative dispute resolution to expand our base of knowledge and prepare pilot volunteers. For 2 straight years, we have made ALPA history by offering a national return of dues to our members. That effort is more than the headline of nearly $100 million. It has required the processing of over 200,000 payments, as well as the creation and streamlining of ALPA's financial systems to intake member payment information to make sure our line pilots can take advantage of these offers. We now have a better system for making payments, which has resulted in more efficient approval of payments and invoices and expenses to our members, staff, and vendors. In that same period, we've completed 2 clean audits, filed all of our government reports with the IRS and the Department of Labor on time, and strengthened our payment process fraud prevention program, which stopped numerous attempts to divert payment of invoices to imposters. The call center has fielded over 40,000 calls and emails from members seeking information about their membership, insurance, and payments. There are always an incredible number of moving pieces across an association this size. And with the focus on updating and improving how our association does business, ALPA has processed over 570 agenda items and 10 governing body roll call votes. Our team has planned over 1,000 meetings, sent over 2,800 LEC comms, and over 2,700 MEC comms, and have certified more than 600 local council nominations and elections with rigorous standards for accuracy and accessibility. During that same time, we've fielded 2,150 accident and serious incident hotline and pilot peer support calls. Our engineering and air safety team staffs our hotline and PPS line 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, which means no matter when, no matter where, if an ALPA member needs help, they will be connected to an ALPA expert to help after a serious incident, or if they need to talk to a pilot's peer support volunteer regarding work-life stressors. We are all likely to hear about less than 1% of these calls. Headlines like Alaska Flight 1282 door plug incident or FedEx 1376 forced to make a gear-up landing, we all hear about that, but that's a drop in the bucket compared to the calls that we field every year. ALPA is constantly working to provide this support to our members whenever they face a line pilot's worst nightmare situation. We also have around-the-clock support for our critical incident response program through the hotline to provide pilots a point of contact and a supportive peer to work through a critical incident. This work has been especially important as we all continue to process the tragic PSA 5342 accident and investigation and the additional incidents and accidents that have happened in the months since. We took a step forward yesterday to honor the legacy of those lost in the PSA accident when the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee voted to advance the Rotor Act. This bill addresses the preliminary recommendations coming out of this tragedy by increasing limitations on when military aircraft can fly without transmitting ADS-B out and how and when flights can occur in crowded airspace like we have around DCA. Even in the middle of a deeply partisan government shutdown, this bill was introduced by a Republican and Democrat, advanced with bipartisan support, and had no amendments. That's not to say it wasn't without controversy. There were those in industry side that were pushing hard to weaken or remove the ADS-BN requirement. Our advocacy and collaboration with the families and the Commerce Committee kept this legislation meaningful. This is an important reminder that the aviation safety record is not a partisan issue, and our hard work to be pilot partisan yields a bipartisan culture around safety and security. And while we support our pilots in these critical ways, the Engineering and Air Safety Organization and the Engineering and Air Safety Department do much more to combat safety and security issues before they reach the public eye, such as successfully getting Canada's spectrum regulator to deny the advancement of 5G signals near airports until required aircraft upgrades are in place. Raising concerns about the frequency of collision alerts at Denver that resulted in FAA redesigning their approaches. Successfully advocating for the establishment of the In-Flight Security Working Group at the TSA Aviation Security Advisory Committee, sounding the alarm about city infrastructure development that could impact aviation safety in Phoenix, which resulted in that proposal being voted down. Preventing recommendations of the image recorders on airliners in the recent FAA Investigative Technologies Aviation Rulemaking Advisory Committee, and lobbying the NTSB to redact all flight crew personal information from public reports and dockets information, which started at the beginning of this month. This is all in addition to training 1,496 pilot volunteers across all 4 ASO pillars and adding professional standards training for our Canadian brothers and sisters. ALPA pilots and staff have received over, this is an amazing number, 171,700 darts from members in just that period of time, asking questions or for support from their union. And 99.3% of those requests have been answered and closed. This ensures that our members have a transparent understanding of their union and know how to access the benefits and services they pay for with their dues. Key to ALPA's mission is the connections we build to advocate for our priorities in Washington and Ottawa. In the US, we grew ALPA PAC by 5 points, up to 26%. We are among the labor unions with the highest PAC participation rate, although we are still striving to catch our brothers and sisters at NACA, who have nearly 2/3 of their members who contribute annually. Our extensive outreach and collaboration with government allows us to be a strong voice for unions and our pilots. We host Hill Days in Ottawa and our legislative summit here in Washington, and we increased the number of district advocates to nearly 600 with the training of 100 new district advocates this year alone. Pilot advocates are the key component of our extensive advocacy operation. Through the collaboration of the pilots and staff from government affairs, legal, engineering and air safety, economic and financial analysis, and communications, we are a forceful voice for safety, labor, and pilot careers in the United States, Canada, and around the world. This team succeeded in stopping the attempt to fast-track reduced crew operations in Europe, securing a pro-pilot, pro-safety FAA reauthorization bill, prioritizing ALPA priorities in our federal government's budgets and the congressional appropriations processes, and defending attempts to raise the pilot retirement age in the US and internationally through the ICAO General Assembly just last month. Overall, we have streamlined operations and increased resources available to our members. We have more dedicated support for MECs in representation and communications. Through the support of SMDR, our Go-Team approach to integrated department and committee support provides more effective preparation, strategic planning, and endgame strategy. Let's not forget the need to squash the rumor mills that pop up. More than 1,200 volunteers were trained within the pilot-to-pilot program, and close to 200 FAC team members have been trained. You will hear more about that program tomorrow from our SPSC chair, Maronin. We developed a new work request system that launched last week. I know how bad the work request system has been and how much of a pain point it has been for purchasing swag for years. Those who use it frequently may not be surprised to learn that the legacy system launched over 2 decades ago. This new system isn't just an improvement on the ancient system. It will give pilots a clearer view of where their requests are in the process, and it should be a lasting improvement on how LECs and MECs interact with and access ALPA resources. Continuing our investment in technology, we hired PwC to audit our IT systems and processes, and from those findings established a new project management office within IT to streamline and expedite the intake, tracking, and completion of our many IT projects. These changes, coupled with policy changes to the Information Technology Advisory Committee, will help us do a better job of prioritizing and increasing transparency of those many IT requests. We launched the new ALPA.org website earlier this month, refreshing and rebranding a site that was more than a decade old. The communications team will show you around that new website a little later today, and we are also wrapping up the monumental undertaking of switching all of our MEC websites to the same content management system. The final MEC will finish their transition in just the next few weeks. Our extensive communication resources have been recognized as industry leaders. In the past 2 years, we've racked up 40 awards from our peers in the labor and the association community for our communications products and campaign, including top awards for writing, print magazines, pilot group videos and campaigns, websites, social media, and electronic media, including an award of excellence for the host of the Airline Pilot podcast, whoever that is. None of this happens on its own. ALPA pilot leaders like you set a tone for this association that demands the best, because we know that is what our members expect from us. You work together to raise the bar for this industry and keep aviation safe. We can be proud of not just the headlines, but the behind-the-scenes work that keeps our wheels turning more efficiently every day. Thank you for your commitment to our profession, safety, and our members. We move forward because of the dedication of our pilot leaders, and every day we add new accomplishments and make the numbers I mentioned earlier even larger. Thank you.